lessons, at least one in each class. But this will get you, if you just need to draw like a certain thing, you can just click on this link. So you can A, type that in, or B, just go on the website and just go to this, where I have blank lessons, and just click on it to open it or copy and paste. So that website is everything we're doing in class. The first thing I want to point out is the fact that, do you see all of these numbers on my ruler? You won't use a single one of them. You're going to treat it like it's a straight edge. It's just a blank ruler with no marks on it. If ever you find yourself measuring something with these numbers, you're doing something wrong. Because if you read up here, which we're not going to have a bunch of time for, basically there was a time where we didn't have zero, we didn't have negative numbers, there weren't any decimals. So they didn't have a ruler. They didn't have a ruler with numbers between all this stuff and tick marks in between. Instead, all they had was a straight edge. And all that stuff you did last year with algebra, they couldn't do any of that without zeros and negative numbers and decimals, so they actually used a straight edge and a compass to do algebra. They did multiplications, they did divisions, they did solving for x. So if you did 2x plus 2 equals 4, they could actually do that with a straight edge and a compass. And that's all they needed. So today, we are just going to have a straight edge and we are going to have a compass. The big thing about today is don't go ahead. Don't think you know what you're doing unless you're 100% sure you know what you're doing, because it's going to take a while to erase. If I ask you, is everyone up to the same spot? You say no if you aren't up to that spot. Because we're going to do several steps, and if we have to go back and cover them every single time, this will take forever. Okay? So stay with the class. Try to stay focused. Try to pay attention. Work hard. This section is typically a pretty easy section as long as you stay with me and you do your homeworks. Most of the test scores will be pretty good because it is just remembering how to do stuff. And we're going to start off with the very basic thing of copying a segment. So if we look here, it says we're supposed to construct a line PQ. So I need a line that's PQ that's the same length as CD. Well, the big problem comes in the fact that my ruler doesn't have any marks on it, so I can't measure it. The only thing that we use to measure is our compass. That's the only thing we can use to measure something. So if I have to draw a straight line of a specific length, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line that's too long. So I'm basically gauging the size of CD, and I'm going to draw a line that's slightly longer than that. Maybe I am. There's my pencil. So I'm just going to draw a line that's longer than CD. So maybe about there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to note that this is going to be line PQ. So I'm just going to, usually we put it right there, I'm just going to call that point P. Now Q is somewhere along this line. If I could measure with my ruler, I would, and we would just put D down there. Since we don't have a ruler with measurements on it, your compass is going to be your ruler. So you're just going to take your compass and you're going to set it up on C and make sure it goes all the way to D. And now that measurement is now stuck in your compass. What you're going to do then is you're going to take the butt. So I'm going to call the point that doesn't have the pencil the butt of my compass. We're going to put that right on P. And what you're going to do is you're going to make a tick mark that looks something like that. This right now is set up to be the distance between C and D. So now that we have that line, all we have to do is put a little point. Well, that's the distance from C to D, so I'm going to put a point there and say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and call that Q, and that is my PQ, because that is the distance from C to D copied down here on a straight line. Before we get any further, I want to tell you, do not erase marks. Do not erase marks. So don't go back here and go, oh, I don't want that line on there anymore. I'm going to erase it because I don't need it anymore. Do not erase it because that's how I grade you. I am grading you on your marks. I'm not grading on the perfect distance. I'm not going to take a ruler and go, okay, this is exactly up to 6.5. This is, oh, that's a little bit short, -2 points. All right, short is fine. We're not dealing with the best compasses in the world, and that's not what we're doing. What we're doing is I'm looking at, did you make this line? Okay, you understood what we were doing. I'm also looking at the approximate. If you came down here and marked here and said this was Q here, I'd be like, I'm pretty sure you measured the wrong line. All right, so as long as it looks approximate, that's good. Move on, don't erase. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is we're going to go CD and we're gonna subtract AB from it. So in order to do CD minus AB, we first have to draw CD. So we're gonna do the exact same thing. We're gonna start with a straight line. That one might be a little bit too long, but that's okay. We are going to mark this as, it looks like we want this as R. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the first length, which is CD. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to copy the length of CD in my compass. So we'll get that locked in our compass. And then we're going to bring it down to the R, and we're going to once again make a mark. So remember, that's just the distance from C to D. I'm marking it. Do we all have that mark? Okay, so just a reminder, you don't need this. I'm just putting it in for my note purposes. But for answer key, you don't need this. That is length CD. That's how I know where I came from. All right, now we're supposed to subtract AB. So I'm not going to put a point here this time because that's not the line I want. This is CD right now. I need CD minus AB. So that means we are going to go up to AB and get that locked. That distance is now locked in my compass. So I got the butt of my compass right here. I'm going to put it right there. If I would do this side of the line, so everyone look up here. If I would do this side of the line, that would be adding the length to it. I'm supposed to subtract the length, right? So subtract would make it smaller. So we're going to put the butt back on that X, and we're going to go this direction. So this length right here is actually our minus AB because I went the other direction. That is now CD minus AB. We put our point there, and we now call that S. That is the length of CD minus AB. Mike?
Would you read it? Would you need to write like minus AB?
No. No. In fact, none of what I'm writing here or here is necessary for when I grade stuff. It's just nice to have in your notes if you need to look back at it. I put minus because it's going the opposite direction, but you could have just put AB as well because it's the same length. All right, the last one is adding. I do want to talk about something really quick I forgot to mention. So off to the side, you don't need this. But let's just say, so this isn't needed for your notes, just pay attention to it. Let's say I need to draw the distance CD. And I draw a line like this. And I measure my CD. I get it locked in my compass. I'm going to cheat it a little bit, but say I got it locked in my compass. And I come here, and my line's not long enough. Do you see how my line's not long enough? Still make your mark. And then just know, I just need to extend my line a little bit. All right, that's fine. Even that little sloppiness is fine. So don't erase everything and draw a brand new line. Just make your mark and extend your line if you need to. Because you're going to find you're going to do that a lot with angles where you need to extend stuff. Extending stuff's way easier than erasing everything and starting over. Whoa. All right. That being said, we are doing CD plus AB. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to draw a line that's longer than CD and AB. So we're going to need a nice long line. So So we'll go like that. That might not actually be long enough. There we go. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put our very first point. It's going to be R. Then we're going to get the measure from C to D again. So we'll lock C to D in our compass. Then at R, we put our butt right back at R, and we make a little tick. That distance right now is that A, or the C to D. Now I need to add AB to it. So once again, we just come up here and we get the measure of AB locked in. And rather than subtracting, we go in the same direction we went with our CD. And now I put my point here, and that is my S. Noting either physically or just mentally checking that that is my length, AB. So once again, if this question's on the test, I'm not actually measuring this. I'm just looking for this tick mark and this tick mark so that you know that we're adding and subtracting. So I'm just looking for the two tick marks, and that's how I'm grading it. All right, any questions on copying and pasting a line? Okay, let's step it up a little bit. Now we're going to copy and paste an angle on the other side. Stay with us here. We're going to do 3 quick ones, but you're going to see if you miss a step, they're pretty hard to do. It really is just a 3-step process for copying and pasting an angle. The first thing we're going to do is, all right, we're supposed to construct angle T. So we want an angle T right here that matches this size here. So the first thing we're going to start off with is a base. Same thing with a line. We're going to start off with a base, which is just a straight line. However, knowing how an angle looks, like this would be kind of our, I guess, you can kind of picture how it's going to kind of look. What I'm going to do is at that point, I'm just going to put a T here, because this is supposed to be angle T. And I'm going to put an arrow going that way. We don't necessarily need the arrow because we're going to be doing a lot more other shapes with it. But just for starting off, we're going to put an arrow there. I'm going to fix my T a little bit. If this was a line, so from the other side, what we did now is all we had to do if this was a line is measure it, paste it, and we can go. Well, we have a very similar idea here. We need to measure this angle. We need to measure this angle. Now, everyone look up here real quick. If I was some kind of machine, and I could go, okay, that distance from here to here. If I was a machine and I knew exactly where I put that, I could lay this down and put a line through that point. However, we're humans. If I came from here and moved it down here, I'm probably going to put it in a different place, so we're going to have a different angle. So what we need to do is we need to have a fixed spot where that butt of this is going to rest, so I know exactly where it's going to rest down here. So what we're going to do is we're going to open our compass to some measurement. I think this is what, about an inch? You could have it really wide, you could have it really narrow. It's really up to you, but pick something that's manageable about that size. So something about that size. All right, then I'm going to get to one of the kind of tricks to this. What we're going to do is we're going to actually make an arc. So I'm going to put the butt on the E. Now the easiest way to make a mark, at least for me, is to actually turn my paper. So if you look at my compass, it's not straight up and down, it's actually laying flat. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn my sheet of paper and create an arc that way. It is one of the easiest ways to make an arc. You can use your wrist, that's fine. For me personally, I like turning my paper. It is up to you. All right, I'm not going to grade you on how you turn your compass. Keep that measure locked into our compass. Do all of us have this marked on angle E? Yes. Are we all there? Almost, okay. That's what I need to hear. Okay, Keep that measure locked into your compass, and what you're going to do is you're going to come down to T. Notice the butt is on the angle still. And we're basically going to paste that same arc on here. So I took this arc measure and I put it down here. So once again, I took this measure, I made an arc here, I came down here, and I pasted that same arc down here, because we're going to make this look exactly like this one. Make sure you extend this one enough, because it has to cover the same area. Are we all there? Let me know if you're not. Okay. Now the next step, so that we can make both these look the exact same, is we're actually going to measure how long is that arc. From one side to the other, how long is that arc? So everyone look up here, if you haven't already, get this measure locked into your compass. Does anyone not have it marked in their compass? Look where the butt of my compass is. It's on the bottom of the arc. So you want to take that butt and put it in the exact same place down here. And then all we're going to do is mark what that distance is. So I just drag it across. So once again, I have the butt right here, same place I had it up here. And all I did is either with your wrist or moving your paper, make a mark here so you can see how long that is. Do we all have this little X here now? Let me know if you do not. Also, if you could, let me know if I'm not showing something, because sometimes I'll be over here and I don't know that it's not on the screen. Just let me know. All right, X marks the spot. That's all we needed to just take our straight edge out from point to X, extend a line. I know I didn't go perfectly through that X. That's fine. That's not what I'm grading you on. I'm not grading you on perfection. I'm just grading on, did you have this line in some kind of mark so I can see that you actually measured the angle. Are there any questions on those steps? I do want to preface the fact that angles and lines are going to be the two biggest things you use in this class. So we got to get pretty proficient at it. I know this is the first time we did either one of them, so no one should feel 100% confident that they crushed it. But do we have any questions on what I did? Okay, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to make angle U, which is going to be F plus E. I do want to note F plus E is going to be a pretty big angle, right? So kind of picture it's going to be a big obtuse angle. So we need to kind of think about what we're doing before we draw our line. So if I would draw my line right here, so everyone look up here real quick. Just for the sake of homework, if I draw my line right there, my angle is going to go into this. It doesn't make sense to put it there. Knowing that it's going to be a big obtuse angle, instead, I'm just going to slide it further down. So I'm just going to put maybe it over here. I'm going to put a point at there. I'm going to call it U. And I'm going to know this is one of my sides of U. All right, we are copying two angles, correct? We're copying E and F. Do you notice how E already has an arc on it? What will save you time is to actually come back to E, get that same measure into your compass. Rather than making brand new marks, why not use the mark that's already there? Then as soon as I have that in my compass, I'm going to go over to F, and I'm going to put that same arc on F. So this distance from F to the arc should be the same distance as E to its arc. I'll give you a second to match all those up. Does everyone have this arc and this arc? Let me know if you do not. And do you still have this same measure locked in your compass? If you do not, put it back in there. All right, what we're going to do next is on U. Knowing that we need to add an angle plus an angle, this arc has to meet both of those additions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a big arc. I just made a big arc that was that same measure, same measure. So once again, I have those same measures in. I just spin my paper, and I have a nice big dropping of ruler. Are we good? Does anyone? No? Okay. It's okay, everyone's gonna be different. Some people are gonna have like a big one that actually goes too far, it seems like, and other people are gonna have a smaller one. It's just, we're not precise with these yet. It's our first time doing it. Yeah, you're fine. It just might, you might wanna move that. Yep. All right, do we all have kind of that half circle? Okay, what we're going to do next is we're supposed to do F plus E. So we are going to get the measure of F locked into our compass. So we're going to get from start of arc to the end of the arc locked into our compass. Are we good there?
No. Same measurement?
We're measuring the arc of F, the one that you just erased. If you already know you can move ahead, we're copying and pasting this on the angle. So if you know what you're doing, you can go ahead and do it while we're... Okay? And you have the measure of the arc locked in?
Yeah.
Okay. So notice where our butt is. We're going to put the butt on the beginning of the arc. And we're going to use the pencil to help mark what that distance is. So that distance from here to here should be the exact same distance as from here to here. Although my compass moved a little bit, but that's okay.
Wait, are we even using the same, like...
Just make this mark. Once again, one more time. If you're confused, look up here. We're getting that measure in, and we're putting it down here and making a mark.
It's too big for my arcs. Should we make a ruler from here?
That means your arcs are different sizes.
Sure.
So that's definitely a different size.
Okay.
I said all three of them had to be the same. All right, so you're gonna have to just catch up. So remember, you got to follow exactly what I'm saying. So we wouldn't need to do this in the homework, but just for now, note that we did just make an angle. We did just make an angle. We just made angle F. Notice I just did a light dashed line to let myself know that's not the final answer. That's just F. I just made angle F. Now we need to add angle E to this. So I basically need to put E right there, right after F. Well, the good news is we measured all of these arcs to be the same distance from the vertex. So all we have to do is lock in that measure E. Do we all have E locked in? No? Okay, once you have E locked in, I want you to note you need to put the butt where F ended. So I'm putting that butt of the compass right where F ended. And to add it on, you're going to go in the same direction F did, and you're just going to make another tick mark. So one more time, I got E locked into my compass, and I added it on to where F ended. Now we have F plus E, so now we can go ahead and finish our arc by starting here, going through our X, and finishing off. No, that's probably a little too big. My compass slipped from F to here, but that is fine. What I'm looking for in grading wise, I'm not looking for you spending an hour, just shaking hands, making sure everything is perfect or anything. All I'm looking for is this mark. This mark, does it look like it's about F plus E? Yeah, that's good enough. I can see what you did. Yes?
When you extended the line of the angle, did you put it through the, or like?
I just measured angle E, and I put the butt right where F ended, and I marked it. So this right here is angle E, if you want to look up here again. Angle E, I added on to here.
Yeah, when you make the line though, like the line left of you, that goes through, yeah, that. Like,
Goes through the X.
Okay.
Yep, goes through the X. Gabe.
Is our lines not gonna look like that?
Probably won't look exactly like mine. Yep. Yeah. The line? So do you have this X right here? Well, you're just going to put through the point and through that X, and you're just going to draw a line through it. So do you have this mark here? Okay, so we just got to get the measure of E in our compass. Do you have that in your compass? And then you're going to come down here and you're going to put the butt of the compass on that X I just pointed out. And then you're just going to mark on the line how far that goes. And now you should have this X so you can put that line through it. All right, we're going to do this one more time. So if you got hung up on any one of those steps, we're going to do a slightly more complicated one, and that is W is going to equal F minus 2E. So we're going to be doing a lot of the same steps, except this one we added E. Next time we're going to subtract E, so we're going to go in the opposite direction. So if you think you can do that, you can move ahead of us. If you're not sure, stick with us. Make sure you are very confident if you're getting ahead of us. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, in order to do an angle, we first have to have a line. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a straight line. Put a point. I'm going to call it W. And just know that our angle is going to go somewhere around here. All right, you could, if you wanted to, you could open your compass to some new measure to measure your F and E, but I'm going to leave it at exactly the same measure. Then I don't have to draw my arcs again. I already have an arc here of that length, and it's the same measure as the one on E. So I got this measure locked into my compass, and I'm going to make sure this one, and the new one I just drew have that same arc on it. So I'm going to go to W, and I'm going to copy that arc all the way around. What was that? I'm sorry.
The arc of F on W.
Well, all three of them are the same.
Oh.
The arc of F should be the same thing as E, should be the same thing as what we're doing, because we're actually pasting F and E on here. So any angle I'm pasting on here has to have that same distance of the arc to the vertex.
You move it up a little bit.
Yeah. You're starting at the wrong point.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right. Are we all at this point? Is anyone not here? Okay, then we're going to go up to F, and we're going to measure what the distance is of this arc. So we're going to open our compass and make sure it's the same length as from start of the arc to end of the arc. Note, I'm not doing anything at the vertex anymore. It's just from start of the arc to the end of the arc. Do we all have that locked in? Take the butt of the compass and put it at your starting point, which is going to be your X here. Not at the center. Make sure it's not at W. It's at the start of your arc. And then you're going to make a mark all the way out here. That is the distance of the arc that was on F. So what stage we're at right now is we actually just drew angle F. We just drew angle F. So you don't need this on the homework. I'm just lightly showing you that we just drew angle F. That distance right now is F. Now we need to subtract 2 E's from it. So that means we need to go back up to angle E and get that measure of that arc locked in our compass. So let's all get angle E locked into our compass. Do we have E locked in? Anyone not? Then we're going to come down, and since we are subtracting it, so note, if I would go in this direction, I'd be adding to the angle. I'd be making the angle bigger. I want to make the angle smaller, so we're going to turn our compass. Our butt is still at the end of where F ended, and we're going to make a tick mark saying that we are subtracting. That right there is minus 1E. So once again, from here to here is 1E. We need to subtract 2 E's. So that means where I just made this mark, do we all have this mark here? Does anyone not have that mark? All right, to subtract another E, we're just going to move our compass to where we just ended, which is right here. And that will be subtracting another E. So that is, in fact, F minus E. And this would be minus another angle E. And that's exactly what we wanted, so we're going to go ahead and finish this off. Yes.
That paragraph with like the history on it, do we need to like know that?
No. All right. Do we all have angle W? Are we good?
Yes.
Okay, then we're going to move on and we're going to make this triangle. We're going to copy this triangle XYZ and we're going to call it ABC. Just note, your triangle may not look like this exactly. We're going to be a little off. Also note, we don't have to have this angle. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with line XZ, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a straight line just to make it easier on myself. So I'm actually going to copy and paste xz onto this line here. So all I did is I drew a straight line. That's going to be the start of my triangle. I should probably actually put it a little bit lower, but that's okay. We'll just go over this a little bit. All right, so I'm going to copy and paste x, y on there, noting that x turns to a. So what I'm going to do is right here, I'm going to make that a. That's going to take the place of my x. And now I'm going to measure x to z and get locked into my compass. And I'm going to copy and paste that distance onto that line. So that's going to give me the point B. So all I did is I copied xz, pasted it right there. Now I have one part of my triangle. And thunder. All right, now what I want to do is, see this angle A and this x? I want to copy this angle x and put it on angle A. So I'm going to copy this angle here, and I'm going to paste it here. So that means we need to open our compass to some measure, mark an arc on x, come over to A, and mark that same arc. All right, then I'm going to get the measure of the arc I just drew that was on x. And I'm just going to paste that on there. So once again, all I did is I copied this angle arc here, pasted it here, and now I'm getting the measure of this arc. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paste it on here. So I'm just copying the angle, the same thing we did above. All right, then you're going to draw your line through that x and that point. So one more rehash of what I did. I copied this angle. So first I got this length, put it here, copied from here, put it there, and that got me that angle. Now we're going to measure the distance from x to y, and we're going to paste that on the line. And that is going to be my point C. Note, now we have side, angle, side. We know that side, angle, side dictates a triangle. All we have to do is connect those 2 points. And we now have ourselves a triangle. All right, just for sake of time, that is about it. If you missed something,